Good evening, councilors. I'll begin our meeting with a prayer and pledge of allegiance led by Councilor Adamson.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to introduce a friend of mine who is no stranger to this body. He has done our opening prayer before, Mr. Hazem Bata, who is the former executive director of the Islamic Society of North America.
Good evening, everyone. Dear God, we thank you for the numerous blessings you have bestowed on us as Hoosiers and as Americans. We ask that you make us worthy of these blessings and not allow us to take them for granted. We ask that you make the people of Indianapolis and Marion County embody the virtues they demand of their lawmakers. We ask that you give our lawmakers wisdom in these difficult times, compassion in these confrontational times, and integrity in these trying times. We ask that you plant firmly in the hearts or minds of our lawmakers the conviction that their duty is to all the people of Indianapolis and Marion County, and not to a party, person, or ideology. We ask that you make the people here today an example for Indiana and for the country as to how people with different backgrounds, priorities, and beliefs can come together professionally and effectively for the good of the people they represent. We ask that you keep those that are most in need in the hearts and minds of our lawmakers as they prepare the upcoming budgets. May this assembly be blessed and may it be fruitful. Thank you. I'd like to just say on a personal note, as Councilor Addison said, I addressed the council once before. Actually, I moved here in 2014, and I had the privilege of doing so right about when I moved here. And now I have the privilege of addressing you again as I'm about to leave. I've been in Indianapolis for about 8 years. Both of my boys have now graduated, and my wife and I are relocating to pursue other opportunities. These have been 8 wonderful years that I've had here in Indianapolis. I will remember them fondly, and I will remember the people of Indianapolis very fondly. So thank you all for what you do, and God bless you. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilors, please select your green button to indicate your attendance. There are 23 councilors present. Councilors Barth and Larison have asked to be excused for the evening. We have no guests this evening who are already not part of the agenda, so we'll proceed to the next item on our agenda, which is official communications. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, you are hereby notified that regular meetings of the City County Council, Police, Fire, and Solid Waste Collection Special Service District Councils will be held in the City County Building in the Council Chambers on Monday, September 12, 2022 at 7:00 p.m. The purposes of such meetings being to conduct any and all business that may properly come before regular meetings of the councils. Sincerely, Bob Osley, President, City County Council. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana, I cause to be published in the Court and Commercial Record and in the Indianapolis Star on Friday, August 19, 2022, a copy of a notice of public hearing on proposal numbers 250, 309, 310, and 311, 2022. Said hearing to be held on Monday, September 12, 2022 at 7:00 p.m. in the Public Assembly Room of the City County Building, 200 East Washington Street. Respectfully, Sarita Hughes, Clerk of the City County Council. Ladies and gentlemen, I have approved with my signature and delivered this day to the Clerk of the City County Council, Sarita Hughes, the following ordinances: Fiscal Ordinance numbers 9 through 11, General Ordinance numbers 37 through 40, Special Ordinance Number 9, General Resolution Numbers 20 through 22, Special Resolution Numbers 25 through 27. Joseph H. Hogsett, Mayor. Mr. President, this concludes the official communication.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And the next item on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have consent?
Consent.
The next item on our agenda is approval of journals for August the 8th, 2022. Do I have consent?
Consent.
So we'll now proceed to this next item on our agenda, which is proposal number 266, referred to Administration and Finance Committee. Chairman Mascari.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 266 was heard in Admin Finance August 9th. It appoints Chris Mitchum to the Equal Opportunity Advisory Board. This passed out of committee 10-0. I so move.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 268, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 268 appoints Vincent Ash to the Metropolitan Development Commission. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 11-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 308, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 308 appoints Danielle Hines to the Marion County Animal Service Advisory Board. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 11-0, and Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? Seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 269, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 269 appoints Scott Carr to the Marion County Community Corrections Advisory Board. The proposal passed out of committee 13-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 270, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 270 appoints Ted Grain to the Fatal Crash Review Team. Councilor Boots moved, seconded by Councilor Jones, to send proposal 270 to the full council with a due pass recommendation, and that motion carried by a vote of 9-0, and I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is introduction of proposals. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal numbers 314 through 317, referred to the Administration and Finance Committee. Proposal number 313, introduced by Councilors Jones and Mascari, approves an additional appropriation of $3,240,000 in the 2022 budget of the Office of Finance and Management, Consolidated County and Cumulative Capital Improvement Funds to finance land acquisition costs. Proposal number 315, introduced by Councilor Mascari, proposes a resolution of the Marion County Local Income Tax Council to modify the local income tax rate, modify the allocation of the previously imposed expenditure rate, and to cast the vote of the City County Council on such resolution. Proposal number 316, introduced by Councilor Jones, establishes interest in purchasing specified land located at 1050 West Raymond Street, owned by Ingredient Incorporated. Proposal number 317, introduced by Councilor Mascari, establishes interest in purchasing specified land located at 5001 East Raymond Street, owned by the Indianapolis Housing Authority. Proposal numbers 318 through 322 refer to the Municipal Corporations Committee and were introduced by Councilor Gray. Proposal number 318 adopts the operating and maintenance budgets and tax levies of the Indianapolis Airport Authority and establishes appropriations for said municipal corporation for 2023. Proposal number 319 adopts the operating and maintenance budgets and tax levies of the Capital Improvement Board of Managers and establishes appropriations for said municipal corporation for 2023. Proposal number 320 adopts the operating maintenance budgets and tax levies for the Health and Hospital Corporation and establishes appropriations for said municipal corporation for 2023. Proposal number 321 adopts the operating and maintenance budgets and tax levies of the Indianapolis Public Transportation Corporation, Indigo, and establishes appropriations for said municipal corporations for 2023. Proposal number 322 adopts the operating maintenance budgets and tax levies of the Indianapolis Marion County Public Library and establishes appropriations for said municipal corporation for 2023. Proposal numbers 323 and 324 refer to the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee and were introduced by Councilor Robinson. Proposal number 323 appoints Catherine Wiles to the Assessment and Intervention Center, AIC Advisory Board. Proposal number 324 approves an additional appropriation of $1,825,000 in the 2022 budget of the Indianapolis Fire Department Federal Grants Fund to fund expenses incurred during the deployment of Indiana Task Force 1 as part of the National Urban Search and Rescue Response System Cooperative Agreement. Proposal numbers 325 through 339 refer to the Public Works Committee. Proposal number 325, introduced by Councilor Robinson, authorizes weight limit restrictions on 79th Street and Marsh Road in District 1. Proposal number 326, introduced by Councilor Oliver, authorizes intersection controls at 32nd Street and Washington Boulevard in District 9. Proposal number 327, introduced by Councilor Mascari, authorizes a speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour on Nelson Avenue between Shelby Street and Deach Street in District 21. Proposal number 328, introduced by Councilor McCormick, authorizes a speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the Rockland and Garden City Addition subdivisions in District 15. Proposal number 329, introduced by Councilor Potts, authorizes a speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the King Estates and Forest Crest subdivisions in District 2. Proposal number 330, introduced by Councilor Adamson, authorizes the removal of dedicated parking on Fort Wayne Avenue near St. Joseph Street in District 17. Proposal number 331, introduced by Councilor Osili, authorizes the removal of residential permit parking on the north side of 11th Street, west of Senate Avenue in District 11. Proposal number 332, introduced by Councilor Lewis, authorizes a speed limit reduction of 25 miles per hour in the Lantern Park subdivision in District 10. Proposal number 333, introduced by Councilor Carlino, authorizes a speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in their Timberview at Eagle Creek subdivision, 46th Street between Raceway and McCurdy Roads, and McCurdy Road between 46th Street and the Dead End in District 6. Proposal number 334, introduced by Councilor Barth, authorizes no turn on red restrictions onto 38th Street eastbound traveling north on Boulevard Place in District 7. Proposal number 335, introduced by Councilor Adamson, authorizes residential permit parking at 859 North Broadway Street in District 17. Proposal number 336, introduced by Councilor Carlino, authorizes a speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the Inverness, Heatherly, and Turnberry at Country Club Park Place subdivisions in District 6. Proposal number 337, introduced by Councilor Bain, approves an interlocal cooperative agreement between the City of Indianapolis, Marion County, and Johnson County for the design, construction, and operation of improvements to County Line Road in District 20. Proposal number 338, introduced by Councilor Ane, approves an interlocal cooperation agreement between the City of Indianapolis, Marion County, and the City of Greenwood for the design, construction, and operation of improvements to County Line Road and South Emerson Avenue in District 23. Proposal number 339, introduced by Councilor Mowry, approves an interlocal cooperation agreement between the City of Indianapolis, Marion County, and Hancock County to allow Indianapolis to acquire, manage, and regulate right-of-way and conduct construction activities on the east side of Carroll Road within the borders of Hancock County in District 25. Mr. President, this concludes the introductions.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on our agenda is special orders priority business. Proposal numbers 340 through 348, 2022, are all rezonings that were certified to the Council for approval by the Metropolitan Development Commission. If no councilor wishes to call down any of these proposals for reconsideration, they will pass into law. Does anyone wish to call down any of the proposals for reconsideration? All right, seeing none, proposal numbers 340 through 348, 2022 will now pass into law. The next item on our agenda is special orders public hearing. And before we open the floor to public comments, I would like to call on General Counsel Kim to review the ground rules for public testimony as adopted by this body. Ms. Kim.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before we proceed to public comments, we would like to remind council members and the public of a few ground rules. So everyone can have a fair chance to speak and be heard, it is important that we each observe the following rules. First, each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes. Second, any public comments must reasonably relate to the agenda item under consideration. Third, speakers who stray from the item under consideration or become unduly repetitious may be asked to move on to their next point or conclude their comments. Finally, attendees who cause disruption that prevent the council from proceeding through tonight's agenda in a reasonably efficient manner will be removed. Please remember that some types of threatening speech or incitement to violence are not protected by the First Amendment at all. We will deal with these issues if they come up, but we don't think they will. And now, Mr. President, if a council member asks for consent to adopt these rules, we can proceed to public comments at the appropriate time.
All right, very good. Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Kim. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 250, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 250 to 2022 approves an additional appropriation of $76,000 in the 2022 budget of the Office of Public Health and Safety to purchase 2 public restrooms and cleaning services for the public's use at the distribution sites of Old City Hall and Babe Denny Park. Andrew Merkel, Program Administrator for the Homeless, Office of Public Health and Safety, stated that this proposal will allow OPHS to purchase 2 public restrooms and hand washing stations to be located at the safe charitable distribution sites. There was a motion by Councilor Carlino to amend the proposal, and the amendment basically struck out the 2 sites of the Old City Hall and Babe Denny Park and included the city's safe distribution sites, is in plural. Councilor Oliver seconded the motion, and the motion to amend carried by a vote of 11-0. And Councilor Graves moved, seconded by Councilor Evans, to send proposal 250 to the full council to do pass as amended recommendation. Mr. President, the motion carried by a vote of 11-0. I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Yes, Chairman Gray.
It says here at each city safe distribution site. Have those sites been identified?
Let's have someone come forward from OPHS.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think Ms. Duffy, the director, is present to speak to that.
Very good.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
I'm Carlette Duffy. I'm Deputy Director of Programs and Management for the Office of Public Health and Safety. So we have designated one site with City Hall currently, and the other site we're still working with the community to determine where that location will be. Was that the full question?
Thank you, Ms. Duffy. Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. So essentially, we've just eliminated the Babe Denny location, keeping the old City Hall.
Yes. So these restrooms are a lot more sturdy than a traditional porta potty. They're actually containers, and they have 2 stall units in each one. So with these units, they can be moved to various sites wherever it's deemed they're necessary. So at this point, we will be using Old City Hall, but we have not designated the second site.
All right, very good. Thank you, Ms. Duffy.
You're welcome.
Additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the room who would like to comment on proposal number 250? Yes, I will. Very good. Thank you, sir. Please state your name for the record.
Yes, my name is Nathan Floyd. I live within a line sight of where the proposed site would be, probably within 100 yards easily. So for briefness, I'll just go over what I've written down here. First, I'd like to say it was never clear why Babe Denny was selected in the first place. Have all the factors been considered for all times of day? Unmonitored access could invite vagrancy or other illicit activities.
Mr. President, point of order, Mr. President.
Yes, Chairman Robinson.
Babe Denny Park is no longer one of the distribution sites, if that's what he's speaking to. Just wanted to be
Yes, that's
sure
what
you
I was
understood
speaking
it.
to.
Okay. So you do understand that
Okay.
that's no longer a location for the distribution sites?
Yes, if that's the
Okay.
case, then I can cease my comment.
Just for clarity.
Okay.
Ms. Duffy, you want to speak to that in case I'm out of order? Mr. President, is that okay?
That'll be perfect. Thank you.
At the committee meeting, a few folks didn't understand that with the amendment by Councilor Carlino, that portion was removed from the amendment. Ms. Duffy can speak to more clarity on that.
Very good. And thank you, Mr. Floyd.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, in our last hearing, it was determined that we would not utilize the Babe Denny site. Thanks to Councilor Carlino's amendment, we were able to strike that completely from the proposal, and we are now in discussions with various neighborhood organizations to see what would be a more appropriate site for the second distribution site.
Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to make that clarification.
No, I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to comment on proposal 250?
Hi, good evening. My name is Beverly Ann Kahn, and I'm proud to be leading Babe Denny, I'm going to say affinity group, we don't have a name yet, in this discussion. My family occupies and owns 3 homes in the Babe Denny area. And I do want to say thank you to our counselor, number 16, District 16, for Kristen, for helping us put this together, and also to the Babe Denny supporters, which we have several back here. Thank you. Babe Denny Park is located on the south location is in South Street, Madison Avenue, Morris Street, and West Street. And the park itself is actually located at 900 Michael Street. And our park is of historic significance as it was named after a prominent African American, which is Edward Babe Denny, who lived and managed several Southside parks. And he also became one of the first African American IMPD police officers. Visiting our park will give you the opportunity to know him and know our community better, as we are looking to bring more attention to Babe Denny Park. Now, what we ask is for you to communicate better with us. We just want to be included and participate in discussions as Proposal 250 was not really thought through. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We want to preserve our park, keep our green space, and make good on the harm that was done when our families were displaced for I-70. We need an investment in our park. And we know you can do it because, bravo, we just saw what you did over in Riverside. What just happened over there with, with Phyllis Hackett's group. So we guys know you can do it, so we're counting on you to invest in our park. So as I thank the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committees, for the amendment, I want you all to accept an invitation to our park. I'm almost down here.
No, Ms. Khan, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, well,
we
thank
do appreciate
you.
your time.
Okay, but we're looking for an investment in our park, and I know you guys can do it. Thank you.
Mr. President, I'm really surprised tonight, but I'm not surprised that, just like the lady said when she was up here, now you have a movable squad of vagrants that you can sick on any community when you set these distribution sites up. This should not be an issue in this city because the government provides a STAP card for people who need food. It maintains a little bit of their dignity, and I think that if we would lobby the legislature and do more to just get the STAP cards passed out so these people wouldn't have to resort to eating expired pantry food and what I call slop that somebody has disregarded as a way of somebody assuaging their guilt or maybe even trying to be benevolent. But there's already a remedy to that. But I just want to say that we need to look down a different route when it comes. As I've said before, our Constitution provides in Article 9, Section 1, for asylums to help people who are down on their luck and need some kind of benevolent care rather than to keep them at large in our community where they're wreaking havoc right now. The people just commented on that, and the city's just moving them around as a vehicle to bring to any community that they want to destroy. So I would just like the council to consider when they do stuff like this and the city affirms a distribution site for what I call slop and expired pantry food, that they would consider that some benevolent group may not be so benevolent in the future and may poison a bunch of this food, and we won't know what the results are until people start dropping like flies. There's no one out there from the health department to inspect this food. There's no one out there to check it for any contaminants or poisonous substances that it may have in it. So I just wish the city would go deeper, Mr. President,
Thank you,
when
Mr.
they
Vaughn.
look into these matters.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Yes, please, sir, please state your name.
Stanford Keon Mayfield. I'd like to say good evening to the council and the audience here. I am a former resident of Babe Denny, born and raised in the area, and I understand the complexity of the homeless problem. I would like to say that I'm going to put myself out there. I know we are looking for solutions. I'm willing to work with the council to help find another location for this sanitation project. I'm willing to put myself out there to help them because we need a solution, okay? Because Babe Denny was taken off of the designation. That's a blessing, so therefore, I'm willing to put myself out to help look for another location. I would suggest maybe further south on West Street as one location. The former Meyer Chapel Community Center, which is our community center. I don't know if it's still functioning, but it's on Norwood, just down the street from the stadium. Long story short, the park had always been a family gathering for generations, and I would like to see it continue that in whatever shape, form, maybe for the next coming generation. They're building new apartments on South Meridian. Hey, it could be a recreation, a leisure park, a tailgating situation, because I know time is going to bring a change. So thank you for your time tonight and your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayfield. All right, seeing no one else. Any additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing no one, let's proceed to the board for a vote. The motion carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 309, referred to Administration and Finance Committee. Chairman Mascari.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 309 was heard August 9th. It approves an additional appropriation of $206,309,559,000 in the in the 2022 city non-department of budget ARPA coronavirus local finance recovery subfund, and totaling another $20,053,356 for rental assistance to fund response efforts addressing coronavirus 19 pandemic, including public health measures, programs to combat the secondary economic effects of the pandemic faced by Marion County residents, small business, nonprofits, and to defray the expenses incurred that will be incurred by the city county government in response to the pandemic. This passed out of committee 11-0. I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Ethan Evans.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is there someone here who could just give like a short breakdown of where the money is going? Is it going to the same locations as it was last year when we had the same funding for ARPA distribution?
I'll ask if there's someone from the administration who can address Councilor Evanson's question.
Absolutely, thank you. Counselor, the dollars are continuing to implement the 3-year plan that Mayor Hogsett outlined last year. This is just the second appropriation of those federal dollars, and they need to be allocated within that fund in order for them to be operationalized and spent as was outlined last year.
So there's no different areas and no different funding locations from last year to this year.
So they will be broken up into the character amounts that are outlined within the proposal. But yes, that is intending to continue to implement the Mayor Hogsett's 3-year plan for these federal dollars.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schaefer. Additional questions or comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the room who would like to comment on proposal number 309?
Yes, Mr. President, this proposal does speak to one thing I think is really a blight on this city after so many people have lost their businesses. So many businesses don't qualify for the issue that you have here tonight, and there's been no effort made to reach those people who really need the help. And another thing that's happening, we have a situation where I lost my train of thought. But in any case, when you have these rents that are being subsidized, back on track, I found out that the money that's coming from this fund, and you know you're having all this building boom here in town, you people at home, you can see all the new apartments and stuff that are going up. Well, one of my friends was moving into one of these apartments, and the money that they're getting for the underprivileged and poor, they are subsidizing these people when they move into a $1,700 a month apartment. They're only paying $250. They're using the money from the COVID disease to actually cushion their way into these apartments that they can't afford. And like you said in this chamber before, Mr. President, that's a form of enslavement. Anytime you give a person any money toward or putting a roof over their head, that is enslavement. And especially when it's not necessary and the funds are intended for people that really need it. So the money that you're appropriating, just thank you people at home, over $300 million of suffering money from our businesses being shut down, from us being told that your job is not essential, that you have to stay home and wait for the people to foreclose on your house. I think that this measure is really unjust when you don't define and you put the criterion to approach this money out of reach of the average person.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to comment on Proposal 309? All right, seeing no one, any additional comments from councilors? Seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 310, referred to Administration and Finance Committee. Chairman Mascari.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 310 approves an additional appropriation of totaling $27 million, $27 million in the 2022 city non-department budget, ARPA Coronavirus for Local Recovery Subfund, and the Stimulus Coronavirus Pandemic Fund for the purpose of providing property tax release for the homeowners. This passed out of committee 11-0. I so move.
Motions are properly moved and seconded. Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a point of clarification. Is that 21 million or 27 million?
27 million.
My digest says 21.
All right. Well, very good. Thank you, Chairman. It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? And by the way, just so that we're clear, can someone from the administration come up and give us that actual number? Because I do have a document that also says 21.
It was 27 million, President. I believe that is from an earlier copy, an earlier fiscal before it was adjusted that you received.
Thank you for the clarification. Comments from councilors? Councilor Boots.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to commend the city and the administration for this step of providing relief to the taxpayers based on a progressive theory. I think it's the right thing to do, and instead of just handing out cash, help those most in need. And I want to commend the city and this body for taking such action.
Very good. Councilor Carlino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to clarify that the number in the digest and what we're voting on reflects the correct number.
Yes. So we will go with 27 million,
Thank you, sir.
as Ms. Schaefer has clarified.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the room who would like to comment on proposal number 310?
Again, Mr. President, there's been nothing said about the criterion that's set up to receive these funds. And that's the problem, because you know you have somebody that's getting a tax abatement already, as is the case in a lot of these new developments. As you're seeing, the taxes are abated for a term of 5 years or until the property ownership changes. So what good is it going to do these people that already have the tax abatement? And I just think this is another example, Mr. President, of how these so-called coronavirus funds are being used. What do we do next time we have a downturn and these funds are not available? Then we'll not let nature run its course. But I think when you go out and you try to help somebody, when the city does this, when they should not have been involved in the first place of telling us that we cannot go to our jobs, that your job is not necessary, and so many small businesses have been hurt, so many homeowners have been hurt, but no criterion has been presented, either in the committee when this was being formulated or in the process of here tonight. We showed the taxpayers not one part of a criterion that they would have to meet to get these funds. But I'm sure that it's out of reach of, like I said, the average person, Mr. President. So I think that these viruses are based on a catastrophe that we had, maybe created by our government, I don't know, but I think that they're being misappropriated and used it to further enslave. Because when you give someone a place to stay or help them in that endeavor, 1 penny, then that's when they're homeless.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to comment on Proposal 310? All right, seeing none, additional comments from councilors. Councilor Ethan Evans.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had meant to ask this before. I didn't get a chance. Would you be able to provide, or would the administration be able to provide some clarification on the process of for getting the tax relief out, if that's possible? I know Councilor Boots had mentioned the progressive thing, but if that's some clarification on the process is available, that'd be great.
Is there someone from the administration who can address Councilor Evans' question?
Thank you, Mr. President. Ken Clark, City Controller. I believe the question was related to how it would actually show up on a tax bill, Councilor Evans. So we're working with the county treasurer to determine exactly the mechanics of how it will work. In our discussions thus far, the way we're going to work through this is that essentially a property tax bill is accounts receivable to the county. It's dollars that are owed, and you ultimately get your property tax bill. It's a bill, right? It's an invoice to you to pay. There will be a credit that we will provide to the treasurer directly at the beginning of the year once the bills are being generated, or we'll actually provide that credit directly at that time. And so it should show up as a payment received already at the beginning of the year when the bill is produced.
And that, so some homeowners will have it be like, if they have theirs like in escrow, will it show up on that statement as well on under there? Or as it said, like some will be on the tax bill, so it'll be in either place depending on how it's written?
If I may, Mr. President.
Yes, please, Mr. Controller.
So for those who escrow, that will be an adjustment later. So I escrow my own through a mortgage payment, right, through my bank, and I have an escrow account. What will happen is that the bill will show up, the amount that the bank has to pay on your behalf out of your escrow account will be $100 or $150 less. And so that adjustment will be made at the end of the year in your next year for your next escrow kind of reevaluation, typically. Every bank does it somewhat differently, I think, but that's the way I understand it will work for most escrow accounts.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Controller. Additional comments or questions from councilors? All right, seeing none, let us proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 311, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 311, 2022 approves an additional appropriations totaling $40 million in the 2022 budget of the Department of Public Works Capital Assets Life Cycle and Development Fund to finance design, construction, and inspection costs related to residential streets and thoroughfare capital improvements. Councilor Brutes moved, seconded by Councilor Ray, to send proposal number 311 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. That vote carried by a vote of 9-0, and I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from council? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the room who would like to comment on proposal number 311? Seeing no one, Councilor Ethan Evans.
Sorry, just one question. Will this include costs for pedestrian infrastructure as well?
Let's see if we can have someone from Public Works come forward and answer your question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dan Parker with the Mayor's Office. The question is, does it include pedestrian improvements? So these are 25 million of this is going towards the residential street construction as part of the design that was done in the May fiscal. Some of that will be ADA improvements. There's not enough money to do additional sidewalk work. Where sidewalks need to be repaired, they'll do that, but primarily it'll be ADA ramps, making them ADA compliant. We have to do that for every project, but for the most part, there will not be new sidewalks being put in. That would consume the entire fiscal.
Would there be any like repainting once a pavement is done for a street?
Repainting in terms of
like lanes, and then like if there's
on most residential streets we don't have paints for lanes.
Okay, so it's only okay.
So 25 million is for residential, and then 15 million is for thoroughfare, which will include both ADA compliance, ramps, curbs, etc. But there would be paint for all of those reconstructions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Additional comments, questions from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Chairman Gray. Motion carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 238, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. With consent, I would like to take proposal 238 and 239 together. Thank you. Proposal 238 and 239 were heard and voted on together. The presentation for this project was initially heard on July 18th at the Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee meeting. Proposal number 238 amends a declaratory resolution creating the Greater Martindale-Brightwood Housing Redevelopment Area and Hillside Housing Allocation Area, also known as the Hillside HOTIF, to enlarge the area to include additional land located on the northwest corner and establishes two new separate tax increment financing TIF allocation areas designated as the Domino TIF and the Monon 32 TIF area. Proposal number 239 approves the issuance of a developer-backed economic development tax increment revenue bonds in a maximum aggregated amount not to exceed $10.5 million for the proposed Domino project and $4.8 million for the proposed Monon 32 project. The project specifically focuses on development and beautification in the area in order to enhance the use of the Monon Trail. The properties would hold both commercial and rental properties with a total of 300 units. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 11-0, and Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Chairman Gray.
Could you, is it possible to identify who the construction manager is, who's going to be doing, what company is doing this, building these homes?
Is there anyone here from the Department of Metropolitan Development who can address Chairman Gray's question?
Hello, Cam Starnes with Taft Law. I represent the developers of the project before you. I would clarify that on the Domino multifamily project, the Ridge Group from Muncie, Indiana is the developer and also the construction manager. And I believe for Monon 32, Gillette Contractors are on board to be the construction manager for the rental units that are part of that project.
I didn't quite understand the people's name.
Sure, I apologize. There are two portions of the project. First being the Domino portion, which is part of its own allocation area there. The construction manager for that portion of the project is the Ridge Group from Muncie, Indiana. And the construction manager for the proposed Monon 32 portion of the development is Gillette Contractors of Indianapolis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Starnes. Are there additional comments or questions from, yes, Councilor Ethan Evans.
Thank you. I had a question. How many of these proposed homes and apartment units will be considered affordable or market rate?
I'll be glad to take that one too. Cam Starnes again. The project will fulfill the required affordability component. I believe we anticipate the 5% at 30% AMI qualification for those units, which amounts to, I believe, 14 of the multifamily units on the Domino project, if I'm not mistaken, and 4 on the Monon 32 project, if I'm recalling correctly off the top of my head. But we have committed to those in the current term sheet with the city in fulfillment of those obligations.
And do you happen to have the numbers on what the average price will be, or the average rental rate will be for the rest?
Let me see if I can find those. I don't off the top of my head. Yes, I'm glad to update my response there. The Domino anticipates rents of $1.77 a square foot on average, and the Monon 32 at $1.73 per square foot on average.
Okay. Do you don't happen to have the per unit rent handy?
I do not. I apologize.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Additional questions from councilors? All right, seeing none, let us proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 271, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number, he said 271 through 283 with consent. Thank you. Proposal number 271 authorizes speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the North German Church Woods, Bradford Trace, Justice Country Club Estates, and Brookwood subdivisions in District 14. Proposal number 272 authorizes speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the Hunter Green subdivision in District 6. Proposal number 273 authorizes speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in Countryside and Wincombe subdivisions in District 2. Proposal number 274 authorizes speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the Holiday Addition, Park North, and Sycamore Grove subdivisions in District 1 and 7. Proposal number 275 authorizes a speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the Mendenhall Pleasant Acres and Allisonville Estates subdivision in District 3. Proposal number 276 authorizes speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the Arlington Acres North, Southern View, Hanover North, German Church Manor, and Spring Lake subdivisions in District 8. Proposal number 277 authorizes speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the Brookfield Estates, Perry Manor, F.E. Payne Rolling Acres, Perry Woods Estates, Long Acre, Martin Burton's, and Edwin E. Thompson subdivision in District 24. Proposal number 278 authorizes speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the Arlington Woods, Success, and Arlington Place subdivisions in District 13. Proposal number 279 authorizes speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the Farley Speedway Home Place and Anchorage subdivisions in District 15. Proposal number 280 authorizes a speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour on all local streets within the area bounded by East Washington Street, Arlington Avenue, Brookville Road, and Emerson Avenue in District 12. Proposal number 281 authorizes speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour on all local streets within the area bounded by 10th Street, Arlington Avenue, Washington Street, and Emerson Avenue, also in District 12. Proposal number 282 authorizes speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the Heather Hills subdivision in Districts 14 and 19. And proposal number 283 authorizes speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the Crooked Creek Heights West, Hoovercrest, and Colonywood subdivision in District 1. All of these proposals passed out of committee with a 9-0 vote, and I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let us proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 284, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 284 authorizes a residential permit parking at 1625 Sturm Avenue in District 17. Councilor Ray moves, seconded by Councilor Mowry, to send proposal number 284 to the full council with a due pass recommendation, and that motion carried by a vote of 9-0, and I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 285, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 285 establishes an interest in purchasing specified land owned by OmniSource Indianapolis LLC, located between South Holt Road, West Minnesota Street, and Sam Jones Expressway for the construction of a construction project by the Department of Public Works in District 16. Councilor Oliver moves, seconded by Councilor Carlino, to send proposal number 285 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. That motion carried by a vote of 9-0, and I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 312, referred to Administration and Finance Committee. Chairman Mascari.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 312 proposes a resolution of Marion County Local Income Tax Council to request an approval of the Department of Local Government Finance to lower the levy freeze rate and to cast a vote of the City County Council on such a resolution. It moved out of committee 11-0. I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let us proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 23-0. There is no business under Special Service District Councils, and there is no business under New Business. So the next item on our agenda is announcements and adjournment. The docketed agenda for this meeting of council having been completed, the chair will now entertain motions for adjournment.
Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Councilor Mowry.
Mr. President, I have been asked to offer the following motion for adjournment by all councilors in memory of former Council President Robert Bob Cockrum, by Councilor Osley in memory of Kamsi Nwasi, by Councilors Anay, Bain, Dilk, Hart, and Mowry in memory of Bill DeShiel, by Councilor Carlino in memory of Rick Albrecht, by Councilor Jones in memory of Pastor Walt Willett. Mr. President, I would like to move the adjournment of the meeting of the Indianapolis City County Council in recognition of the life and contributions of the persons I have here specifically named. I respectfully ask the support of fellow councilors. I further request that the motion be made part of the permanent records of this body and that a letter bearing the council seal and the signature of the president be sent to the family of each person advising of this action.
Thank you, Councilor Mowry. Hearing no objections, the motion is received and the requests are so ordered. Hearing no further motions, we are adjourned. Thank you, councilors.